What's up, legends? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking Black Ops 6 Zombies, and we are less than a day away from the release of the final map, Reckoning, the grand finale, the final chapter of Black Ops 6 Zombies. So for this video, I wanted to jump in and actually give you guys my top 5 recommended weapons for the new map. Obviously, with new maps, not everything is already figured out, so we still have to hunt the Easter egg, still have to solve all the steps, we still have to get access to the Wonder Weapon, complete the main quest, do the final boss fight, whatever this grand finale has to offer. So what I thought would be helpful for some of you guys that are jumping in, maybe you guys are going to be trying to hunt the Easter eggs yourself, or you guys just want to have a good time on the new map, figured I could give you guys these top 5 weapons. Now, it's possible that some things might change going into the new season after the actual map's been released, but I am fairly confident that if you choose any of these 5 weapons, it should be successful until things get figured out. I'm going to put the loadout for each of these on the screen, so you guys should have easy access to it. Just pause it, screenshot it, whatever the case might be. That way you guys can actually equip the attachments that I'm using if that's something you would like to do. If you guys want to make any modifications to the attachments, I will actually mention the most important ones as we go through each of these weapons, but it should be pretty straightforward. And I actually went out of my way to try to choose at least one weapon from different categories. I am going to do the top 5, and then I have one bonus one that I'm going to include at the end, just because it's a favorite weapon of mine. Now, one last thing before we dive into these weapons too is, although this is a top 5, I'm not putting these in any particular order. These are just 5 weapons that I felt would be the most beneficial to new players, returning players, you know, any skill level of player, just anyone looking to find success here on the Reckoning. So first one we got is going to be a pistol. It's going to be the 3-round burst attachment for the Strider. You're going to want to run akimbo. There is kind of a caveat to the akimbo version, is if you want the maximum amount of damage, you do have to hit a lot more headshots. And I think if you are a controller player, you might struggle a little bit more to actually be consistent with those. So it is very possible that a single version of this weapon will end up being better for you if you are working with a controller, because you will be able to use Deadshot, spam those headshots, hitting a consistent amount more, probably outputting a lot more damage. But I definitely have to recommend the akimbo ones, because if you are skilled enough to hit enough crit shots, the output on damage is absolutely insane. As far as the other attachments are concerned, like I said, that's the main thing you need to have, is the 3-round burst and the akimbo. Anything after that is kind of up to you. Now, this is honestly probably the best weapon in the game. Even though I said there's no particular order, this is the one we're starting with. This is one that I actually personally have taken into Terminus and went for some really high rounds with just a loadout weapon. Now, by high rounds, I just mean anything over 55 with a loadout weapon I feel like is pretty impressive. And I was finding myself having pretty decent success in the 70s before finally making a mistake that led to my demise. I honestly think I can hit round 100 with a loadout weapon on each of the maps, and I'm going to work on that after we get through the initial wave of the Reckoning. But this is at the top of my list of weapons that I will probably use to go for that goal. So if you guys want something that should be successful beyond the health cap, the akimbo burst fire Striders are going to be for you. And I honestly think, like I said, if you are a controller player, utilizing this alongside Deadshot in a singular form might also probably even give you better results, just depending on your skill. Next up, we have the Maelstrom. Now, this is probably the most easy to use in the entire list, because it helps people of all skill levels. So if you're somebody that's newer to the game, or somebody that typically struggles when new maps release, this might be the weapon for you to choose, because it doesn't require a lot of accuracy. Honestly, this is one of those weapons you just aim in a direction. As long as you're using double standard on double tap, you can just fire away in full auto once it's Pack-a-Punch, and you'll pretty much just annihilate everything in that direction. One of the main things that kind of sucks about the Maelstrom, though, is that you're going to tend to go through a lot more ammo, and you might have to be a little bit more strategic with when you choose to go Pack-a-Punch level 3, due to the fact that ammo will cost 5,000 essence each time you hit the ammo cache, which could take away from other upgrades that you're trying to get. So just make sure you are choosing to use the Maelstrom, you're planning your upgrades out accordingly, but outside of that, you shouldn't have any issues, and it might be one of the best beginner or lower skilled weapons that you can choose from in this top 5. Next, we have the KSV. This thing is pretty balanced in my opinion. It has a decent mag size. I would say you don't go through the reserve too quickly, but it also does have a fast rate of fire, and the damage is awesome. Something I did consider for a lot of these weapons, if you are curious how I came to the conclusion of putting these in my top 5, was I wanted to kind of ensure that it was a weapon that I felt like you would have a higher chance of hitting crit shots with. Obviously, the exception of the Strider, because the Strider has 2 different options, akimbo and non, and then the Maelstrom doesn't require criticals at all. However, the KSV, I think, is pretty easy to control the recoil, which will allow you to hit more critical shots, and alongside that rapid fire rate of fire that it does have, you're going to just be burning down zombies. So I definitely think that as far as the SMG category is concerned, especially, you can't go wrong with the KSV, and you shouldn't have any issues, no matter the skill level that you are, going into the new map with this weapon. Now, this next weapon is probably one that you're not expecting to be on the list, but when they recently fixed the attachment they released for it, I think it automatically ended up being an S tier weapon, A tier weapon, whatever the case might be, especially for the category that it ends up being in, which is the marksman rifles. We are talking the TR2 with the full auto attachment. So now when you pack a punch it, it stays full auto, has an incredible rate of fire, which allows it to remain very high damage output. But the other benefit to this is not only does it have a pretty reasonable reserve, despite the rate of fire will kind of lead you to go through a little bit more ammo, it is shooting a full auto burst that is really easy to control, which means you will hit a lot more of those headshots consistently, even if you're on mouse and keyboard. And if you are a controller player, you're going to have an easy time spamming those headshots with Deadshot due to the fact that the ADS speed for this weapon in particular is just incredibly fast. I think this is definitely one of the easier weapons to use. It's got the benefits of being like an SMG. However, it is technically still a marksman rifle, and I'm honestly glad that they went back to the drawing board, fixed the issue with it pack-a-punching and going back to burst, and then allowing us to actually have the full auto version. This is definitely one, again, that I think you guys will be surprised is on this list, but you won't regret going into the Reckoning on day one with this one. Next, we finally have an assault rifle. I'm going to recommend you guys the AK-74. Now, the damage output is incredible. I think it's really easy to actually control the recoil with this one, even with the CHF barrel, which is not always the case. In some circumstances, I have to compromise. I'm either using the CHF barrel with the recoil springs, or I'm using a different barrel with rapid fire, and you never really get to have the best of both worlds. It's never really rapid fire with CHF, because typically that leads to being way too inaccurate, and you're not going to end up hitting that many crits as consistently as you would like. And that's where all your damage comes from in zombies. So the AK-74 has a really good damage output. You're going to be able to hit those headshots pretty consistently, and you are going to be able to take advantage of that CHF barrel. It's also an assault rifle that has a really decent mag, which means you're not going to be reloading super often, and also comes with a great reserve. All in all, there's not really a wrong option for the most part in the assault rifle category. That's just going to lead us to our bonus weapon, which is the AMAX. Now, this is the favorite weapon for me in this game. It's the one I probably used the most since its release. Obviously, it might not be my #1 weapon, just simply because it wasn't in the game on day one. But I feel like I can control the recoil really well with this. I hit headshots consistently. The mag size is awesome. And of course, I don't feel like I go through ammo all that often. All in all, the combinations for this just makes it my favorite weapon. I feel like you're most likely going to do best with one of these 5 weapons that I've already mentioned, or the 6, which is the bonus. But the one that's going to be best for you is the one that you are the most comfortable with. So for me, typically I'm going to be choosing the AMAX, but I think for at least my first run going into the Reckoning, getting a feel for it, I'm going to go ahead and bring the Striders with me just to see what they're actually capable of. That way, when it goes to coming and making the guide for you guys to complete the main quest over on the Reckoning, I can set you guys up with what works, and if it doesn't end up working, I can obviously let you guys know some more information on that. But this is my top 5 weapons with the bonus extra, and I think for the most part, you guys are going to be just fine picking any of these 5. However, just choose the one that sounds the most appealing to you. If you don't want to worry about aiming for the head, maybe the Maelstrom's going to be the right choice for you. And by the way, I didn't mention the attachment specifically, but the Dragon's Breath rounds are what you're going to want to use on that. Honestly, if I was going to choose a weapon for high rounds on any map, I honestly think any of these weapons would be viable. Now, the goal was hopefully to avoid making this video too long, so hopefully you guys can take these loadouts, take these recommendations, and go into day one of the Reckoning with a little bit more success as we all try to look to not only solve the main quest, but figure out the map and have a ton of fun with this grand finale of Black Ops 6 Zombies. So that's going to wrap things up for us here. Let me know down in the comment section below how much you guys think this will help you on your journey. Thank you guys for all the support in today's video, all support the channel. Look forward to seeing y'all in the next one. Peace!